Time for a love potion, a little sweet and spice. Throw it all in a cauldron, mix it up real nice. Fire in my eyes, stir counterclockwise. I dream of you all night. Filled with emotion, follow the signs. With this love potion, you will be all mine. I'm pulling you closer to me. You're finding it harder to breathe. The magic is taking over your mind entirely. I'm the only one that you see. I got what you want, what you need. Before you know it, you are falling in love with me. Little sweet spice. Made a love potion for you. Little sweet spice.
Welcome to the Fray Flak Pack. It's Termex here, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 build video. And in today's build video, I am here to showcase my ultimate Splash Flak build. Now, I did make an older variation of Splash Flak quite a while ago, back when Ruiner came out with that whole DLC. I can't really think of the name of the DLC right now, because my memory has been pretty terrible trying to remember all these new mechanics and all that kind of stuff. But this build centers around the people that play Flak, that want to get a little bit more splash damage out of their builds. Now, I will say this build is suitable for the new raid boss, but it's not the best way to take out the raid boss. If you guys are looking for a raid boss specific Flak build, click in the top right about now. That's going to be the build for you guys. But for the people looking for an all-around Splash Flak build, this is what you're going to need. We went pretty heavily into the Hunter skill tree, heavy enough to get Megavore for that crit chance no matter what. 6 out of 5 into the most dangerous game, so we get that 50% gun damage and that 20% crit. 7 out of 5 in a Hunter's Eye, so we get a bunch of different benefits. Only 2 out of 5 in a 2-Fang, just so we can get that extra chance at another projectile. 5 points in Interplanetary Stalker is going to help us out tremendously. We get that 13% damage per stack, which stacks up to 3 times. And of course, Big Game, because Big Game is going to double the duration of our Hunter kill skills and increase their effects by 30%. Head count, so when we score a crit, we get our action skill back quicker. Alongside Leave No Trace, so when we do score a critical hit, there's a 36% chance to actually add ammo back into our mag. And we also got the Stalker Capstone, so we get the power inside. We're going to get a 50% damage increase for 15 seconds if we go into fadeaway when we are at max health. We also got Lick the Wounds because it's a very important perk for survivability, and you got to get the perk. We did also go into the Fast and the Furious, so when we are at max health, which most of the time we will be, we do get another 25% gun damage. Alongside Hidden Machine, so when we're in fadeaway, we get a 30% damage on top of all the rest of this stuff. Now, as for Trapper, I did get agility training, so we get the 40% reload speed, and 3 points into Better Toys for the shield recharge delay and recharge rate. And our last 3 points are going into Persistence Hunter, so we get the 12% gun damage and the 45% action skill duration. Now, as for the pet, we are going to go with the Spider-Man Scorcher, so we get a little bit of health regeneration and a flat out 10% bonus elemental damage. For the action skill itself, we are going to be using different augments for different situations, but we're always going to be using fadeaway, specifically 3-shot fadeaway with unblinking eye with the bonus crit per shot, and until you are dead, so we still get that movement speed and health regeneration even outside of fadeaway. As always with all my builds on this channel, I do not have Guardian rank perks or bonus stats enabled ever because I want to show you guys the raw potential of these builds, so if you actually do use your Guardian rank, you're going to be doing a lot more damage than I am. Now into the spicy stuff, which is the gear itself. I'm going to go over what you need shield-wise. Yes, I know this is a bad time to be recommending this shield, especially with the way that world drops got changed. If you guys want to know my honest opinions about all that, you can click in the top right about now. Another video that I talked about all that kind of stuff. I don't really want to rant about it in this video. But you're going to need an old god. And I have an old god in every element with their corresponding ASE, except for a shock one. I cannot get a shock one for the life of me. As for your grenades, we do have a bunch of Hunter Seekers in different ASE variations, so you don't ASE stack and actually overlap your damage. This is all just to proc our Hunter kill skills and all that kind of stuff alongside the Bounty Hunter class mod. Now the Bounty Hunter is just really good for this type of build, especially Splash Flak, because we're going to get the max amount of damage without actually having to get kills. And my roles have been weapon damage, which is going to benefit everything in this build, splash damage, which will also benefit everything in this build, and doll weapon crit damage. This is going to mainly be for our Sandhawk. I did have another class mod that had the same exact roles, but instead of doll crit, it was Jacob's crit. But there's not really many Jacob's weapons that deal splash damage, so I wasn't really getting the best benefit out of it. Now, as for your relic, you do want the Pearl of Knowledge. I do have it in two different forms. They both have magazine size, but one has fire rate and one has reload speed. I personally want to sway towards more reload speed heavy, because fire rate on a lot of these guns means literally nothing, but there is some guns where fire rate does come into play, so that's why I included both of these. Now, as for some secondary weapons, I do have the back burner, which is going to be your big target bossing, the flipper, which does actually count as splash damage. This is actually one of the weird ones. Now, the flipper specifically doesn't look like it does splash damage, but it actually does do splash damage just like the Sandhawk. But the thing that's weird is the flipper can spawn with a splash damage increased annoyance, but the Sandhawk can't. For some reason, the Sandhawk does count as splash damage, but it cannot spawn with a 200% splash damage annoyance, which I don't know why. That's why when we use our Sandhawks, we opted for the on next to mags, so we still get a little bit of damage out of them, and trust me, the Sandhawks are amazing when it comes to this splash build. You would think a Sandhawk is more suited for a crit sniper flak, but he actually does more damage potential with this sniper when it comes to an actual splash crit setup. And now let me talk about your red lines. I do have these in every element except radiation. I do not know if it could roll in radiation. These all have on action skills splash damage increased by 200. These are going to be your bossing, your big target weapons. You might use this a little bit for Hermivorous, but it really depends. I don't really like to use this for Hermy. When it comes to Hermo or Hermy, you're gonna hear me go back and forth with his name because I'm traditionally gonna say Hermy. I don't know why. The Anarchy is what I prefer to use because this thing with splash damage is such an amazing weapon, especially on flak, that it's actually ridiculous. I'll get into this later into the video. So we have the res to pick our pet back up and get all of the benefits from our pet, because if our pet is dead, we're not going to get any benefits. We do also have a Plague Bearer. This is going to be amazing when it comes to bossing and when it comes to Hermy or Hermo. And the Gargoyle. This thing has been overlooked recently with the new power creeped weapons, but honestly, I still like the weapon itself, and I think it has its uses. And we have the Beacon. Now, everyone watching this video right now is, why aren't you using the Radical pistol? The Radical just came out. Everybody's talking about it. What gives, Term? Well, in my testing with the Splash Flak, the Radical is not really that amazing, and I still sway towards the Beacon, and here's why. The Beacon itself does similar damage if it has a ×2 prefix, but I know the Radical could have a ×2 prefix. But my gripe with the Radical is the damage just doesn't feel the same to me. The fact that the Beacon's Nova exist kind of makes up for the Radical's extra projectiles, because if you don't know, the Radical kind of acts like a King's Call in a weird way, where it spawns extra projectiles to home in on the target, but those projectiles don't do a lot of damage in my testing. But the Beacon is still reliable. It's a good source of crowd control because that Nova is a decent size, especially since it's not linked to your shield itself. And honestly, it's just what I prefer. In my opinion, it's what I like, but if you don't like the Beacon and you love the Radical, just swap it in place for this and the build will be completely the same, really. But I do want to show you guys something real quick because I do love my Sandhawk and I love using it on flak. I'm going to show you a quick Grave Ward kill. We're going to throw our Hunter Seekers to get the Bounty Hunter kill skills. And now let's wait till we can actually use our fadeaway. We're going to stand here and boom. Yeah, I love the Sandhawk so much, and I did include a lot of different Sandhawks. And on flak, the Sandhawk is just amazing. It's one of those snipers that I'm probably never going to stop using. But I want to put in a little tidbit when it comes to the Sandhawk. When you're using the Sandhawk, it could come in 3 different variants. It could come in full auto, it could come in semi-auto, and it could come in burst. Now, full auto is nice because you get a bunch of fire rate, clearly. But as you can see, the birds do not really center in on the target too well. So, me personally, I like to use semi because full auto has way too much spread in my opinion. Burst has a little bit more spread than full auto, but burst does do more damage than full auto. But semi-auto does the most damage out of any of the 3 firing modes. And the thing about semi-auto is if you have a good trigger finger, It's basically just like full auto. And it's so much more accurate than any of the other firing modes. It's just personally what I prefer. I thought I should let you guys know that in case you just use this build and you're like, how come my Sandhawk doesn't hit as accurately as yours? But where this build really shined is when it comes down to the Anarchy. We all know the Anarchy stacks its damage fairly well. Early on, it's not going to seem like that great of a gun. But once you get the stacks, this thing is just so freaking amazing to use. And with the changes that happened quite a while ago, going down and reloading early no longer resets your stacks. So you can actually toss this and get the maximum reload damage out of it if you guys want to play Splash Flak that way. And I do that sometimes. Sometimes during the Hermovas I will throw it, but usually you're going to be getting more damage just out of shooting the gun itself. And these guys have shields, and I'm just going through their shields with a fire shotgun, which is, it's almost easy mode at that point. All of our rolls, all of our build, all benefits this Anarchy in many different ways, and it's honestly so fun. The Anarchy is such a fun shotgun to use. It completely melts and destroys everything. Just so I can show you guys the reload, we're going to go over to Chupacabra, and we're going to reload, shoot it, and you could definitely get that TDR reload damage. And to end off the video, I guess I could show off the Redline shotgun on Captain Trance. Just set this thing to sticky mode, pop into fadeaway, put your whole clip into the boss that you want dead, and they will, well, die. You can melt Graveward with this thing, you can melt Runer, you can melt a lot of bosses with the Redline. It's a really awesome shotgun. But yes guys, that is my newly updated Splash Flak build. If you guys are on PC and you want everything that you've seen in today's video, just head into this video's description and download my save file. As for you console players, if you need any help getting this gear, you guys can join my Discord and go into my trading chats. Guarantee you there's a lot of people in there that are willing to help you get the gear that you guys need. But if you enjoyed today's video, please make sure you leave a like on it because it helps me out a lot. Spreads my videos to other people that enjoy watching Borderlands 3. Subscribe if you're new and you want to join the Flak Pack, and hit that bell so you never miss out on another video from me. And yeah, you guys have a terrific day, and me and Scorch Jr. over here will see you guys later.